Before we dive in, let me tell you something that'll make your life easier. Every book, every expert, every tool I mentioned today is already linked for you in the description. No need to pause, no need to take notes. Just stay with me. And stay until the very end, because I saved a tiny city-proof trick that changes everything. All right, let's settle in. Before we go any further, let's just acknowledge something out loud. Cities have this sneaky way of making you feel like you're failing at things that aren't even your fault. It's like the environment itself is grading you on tasks you were never designed to perform. And honestly, most people don't realize that's what's happening. The city overloads your attention system long before your day even starts. Cal Newport talks about this a lot, how our brains can only handle so much distraction before our clarity collapses. And cities, they're basically distraction factories. So when you wake up already feeling behind, that's not a personal flaw. That's environmental math. I had this friend, let's call her Laura, who lived right above a bar that believed volume control was a myth. One night, she called me and said, "I think something's wrong with me. I can't think straight anymore." And I remember sitting there thinking, no, sweetheart, nothing's wrong with you. It's just the motorcycle gang that meets outside your window at 2 a.m. But she genuinely thought she was losing capacity when really her environment was eating it. And this is exactly what Dr. Gabor Mate means when he talks about the body's response to chronic stress. He doesn't mean stress like dramatic events. He means the little things, the sirens, the footsteps above you, the flashing lights, the tension of being surrounded by more people than your nervous system evolved to handle. It's tiny, constant wear on your emotional circuitry, the kind that convinces you that your struggles must be personal, when they're absolutely not. Cities push you into a performance mindset without asking for permission. You're always moving, always dodging, always processing, always adjusting. And when your brain can't keep up, it whispers, "You're not doing enough." But really it's saying, "I just need 1 second. Just give me 1 second." And the city never gives it. And maybe you felt this too. That moment when the noise, the speed, the constant motion makes you feel like you're somehow less competent than everyone else around you. Like everyone else is managing and you're the only one mentally melting on the inside. But here's the truth you weren't told. The people who look the most functional are often just the most dissociated. You're not behind. You're just human. So if the city has ever made you question your abilities, or your resilience, or your emotional strength, I want you to hold on to this for a second. You're not too sensitive. You're not overreacting. You're not weak. You're responding exactly the way a healthy nervous system responds to an overwhelming environment. Because once you understand why the city feels like this, you can finally start working with your reality instead of fighting it. And that's where everything starts to shift. Let's go a little deeper. Okay, let's take a moment before we keep going. We just talked about a lot, and I don't want you rushing into the next part with your brain still buzzing. So wherever you are, just soften your shoulders a little. Let your breath settle. Let the pace drop with me, because the next layer isn't about action. It's about grounding. And grounding only works when we slow down enough to actually feel it. All right, now we're ready. Now that we've untangled the myth of urban discipline failure, let's build something real. Something that actually works in small apartments, noisy streets, shared spaces, unpredictable schedules, and all the chaos that comes with city life. This is what I call the urban growth triangle. 3 tiny pillars that survive interruptions better than any wellness routine ever created in a quiet suburb. And the funny thing? These pillars are based on research most people already know exists, but nobody ever adapts for city life. We're going to change that today. And don't worry, all the books and experts I mention are linked in the description, so you don't need to write anything down. Okay, let's build this. A. Microspaces. This first pillar is tiny, literally. A microspace is the smallest possible physical spot your nervous system can associate with calm. Jay Shetty talks beautifully about this in Think Like a Monk, how meaning doesn't come from intensity, it comes from repetition. Your microspace can be a corner of your sofa, the end of your bed, half the kitchen table, a windowsill, a chair facing away from the chaos, whatever lets your brain think, oh, this is where we settle. And because city life destroys anything that requires setup, keep this space frictionless. As James Clear explains in Atomic Habits, the more steps something requires, the faster it dies. So your essentials, they stay there. The journal, the pen, the headphones, the grounding object, the candle, the thing that tells your body, we're safe here. Just one sensory anchor, a scent, a texture, a sound, repeated enough times that your nervous system starts to relax before you even sit down. And since I promised honesty, I once tried to meditate in what I thought was my calm corner. Turned out it was directly in front of my snack cabinet. I took one breath and then spent the next 15 minutes eating pretzels like a raccoon with no future plans. So yeah, pick your corner wisely. B. Micro rituals. Once your tiny space is set, we add the second pillar, micro rituals. I'm talking about small, repeatable actions your brain can rely on even when the environment collapses. This is where James Clear's expertise shines again. He shows that identity is built through tiny, consistent actions, not giant lifestyle overhauls. And in a city, tiny wins are the only ones guaranteed to survive. Your micro-ritual could be a 30-second grounding breath, a 2-sentence journal entry, a 1-minute stretch, a moment where you put your phone down and touch something with texture, something so small that even a delayed train or a neighbor yelling won't destroy it. The goal isn't productivity. The goal is stabilizing your nervous system long enough that your mind feels like yours again. C. Micro-regulation. The third pillar is micro-regulation, fast, tiny ways to reset your physiology, because in cities, emotional regulation fails not because you're weak, but because the sensory load is non-stop. Here's where the experts make everything easier. Andrew Huberman teaches the physiological sigh, 2 short inhales through the nose, 1 long exhale through the mouth. It lowers stress within seconds. Dr. Nicole LaPera talks about orienting, letting your eyes scan the room slowly, telling your brain you're not in danger, even if the environment is loud. Combine both, and you get a portable reset button you can use anywhere, on a crowded bus, at your desk, outside a store, during a break at work. The city doesn't get quieter, but you get steadier. When these 3 pillars work together, microspaces, micro-rituals, and micro-regulation, you build a system that doesn't require silence, doesn't require time, and doesn't require perfect conditions. It only requires consistency. And as Jay Shetty reminds us, meaning grows through repetition, not intensity. We'll build your personalized triangle in the next part. But first, take a breath with me. You made it through the hardest section. All right, now that you've got the urban growth triangle, it's time to turn it into something that feels like yours. And before we go any further, remember, you don't have to keep track of the books I'm referencing. Everything is linked in the description, so your mind gets to relax while you listen. Here's the truth most self-help forgets. Cities don't give you extra space, extra time, or extra silence. So your blueprint can't ask for those things either. What we're building together is a system that fits inside the life you already have. The commute, the noise, the people, the interruptions, the tiny pockets of calm you've carved out. This is where we make it personal. Let's start with a feeling. There's usually this one moment in the day when your brain whispers, I can't do this like this anymore. For some people, it's the morning chaos. For others, it's that heavy mid-afternoon fog. For others, it hits at night when the city suddenly decides to do a symphony of sirens and nobody asked for tickets. That moment is your blueprint's anchor point. Once you know where the overwhelm hits hardest, the urban growth triangle becomes your custom buffer. And this is where it gets grounding, because the moment you match the right pillar to the right challenge, you stop fighting yourself and start working with the rhythm of your environment. If your stress hits the second you walk through the door, your blueprint starts with a micro space. If your thoughts race when you wake up, your blueprint starts with a micro ritual. If your emotions spike randomly during the day, your blueprint starts with micro-regulation. It's like Gabor Mate says, the body keeps score of the environment long before the mind catches up. So instead of forcing yourself into routines that collapse the moment someone slams a door, you learn to match your tools to your nervous system's actual needs. And yes, this part is usually where people sabotage themselves because they try to design a perfect system instead of an honest one. But the city doesn't reward perfection. It rewards adaptability. And this is where I'll tell you a little secret. When I first tried to build my own blueprints, I spent days convincing myself I needed the ideal morning. A slow wake-up, a quiet corner, warm tea, soft lighting, the dream. And then my neighbor installed a new espresso machine that sounded like a spaceship taking off at 6 in the morning, every single day. So my perfect blueprint, dead on arrival. But the real blueprint, the flexible one, actually worked. That's the one we're building for you. Your blueprint doesn't need to be pretty. It needs to be consistent. It needs to be something your nervous system can trust, the same way you trust the crosswalk lights or the escalator or the subway doors. Something predictable inside an unpredictable city. And here's where Cal Newport's work becomes magic. He talks about attention anchors, these small intentional touch points that pull your mind back from chaos. In a city, your urban growth triangle becomes one giant attention anchor, a system that quietly keeps you from dissolving into overwhelm. Because once your blueprint is set, the city loses the power to hijack your internal state every 5 minutes. You're not perfect, you're just prepared. And when you're prepared, everything feels lighter. In the next part, I'll walk you through how to test your blueprint in real life, gently, and adjust it so it fits naturally into your days without forcing anything. Whenever you're ready, we'll move on. Okay, this is the part most people skip, and it's the part that changes everything. Because you can have the perfect routines, the smartest habits, the most beautiful urban blueprint, and still feel completely drained if you don't protect your emotional energy. Cities don't just take physical space, they nibble at your mental space too. Tiny bites all day long. And if you've ever wondered why your brain feels full before noon, this is why. Cognitive bandwidth, sensory saturation, boundary leaks. Dan Siegel calls it the window of tolerance, that sweet zone where your nervous system feels steady. And in cities, that window shrinks fast. The goal here isn't to force it open. The goal is to stop letting everything slam into it. Let's start with something simple. You don't owe your attention to the entire world, not to the noise, not to the notifications, not to every rushed stranger, every coworker, every unexpected demand. You get to choose where your mind lands. And in cities, that choice becomes a survival skill. There's something Nedra Tawwab always talks about when she teaches boundaries. She says that boundaries aren't walls, They're guidelines for how you stay emotionally safe while staying connected to the world. And when you live in a place where the world is always around you, boundaries stop being optional. One of the biggest energy leaks in cities is this unspoken pressure to absorb everything: the noise, the speed, the moods, the urgency. Even when you're not aware of it, your body is picking up signals. Footsteps behind you, conversations next to you, the sudden siren that slices through your thoughts, the person on the train who decides to FaceTime their cousin at full volume. Every moment, input. And your brain does this tiny emotional flinch every time. Not on purpose, just because it's human. I'll tell you something that took me way too long to learn. Not every sound, not every request, not every emotion in the room deserves space in your nervous system. You don't have to carry everything you witness. You don't have to respond to every vibration in your pocket. You don't have to solve someone else's bad day just because you happen to be standing near it. You're allowed to preserve yourself. I used to feel guilty for wearing noise-canceling headphones on quiet days, like I was somehow cheating. But if your environment is louder than your internal voice, sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is lower the volume of the world. Protecting your window of tolerance is not avoidance, it's maintenance. And here's the part people never say out loud. Your emotional energy is not infinite. Even the strongest person gets tired if their days are filled with constant micro-demands. The city will always ask for more. That doesn't mean you have to say yes. Maybe this sounds familiar. There's that moment when someone interrupts you for the 5th time and your brain just blurs. Or when you finish your commute and you're already exhausted before the day even starts. Or when you realize you're absorbing moods you didn't choose. That's your window shrinking. That's your energy leaking. And that's exactly why emotional boundaries in cities need to be tiny, simple, and firm. Not dramatic, not aggressive, just steady. A quiet, not right now inside your head. A gentle redirect toward yourself. A choice to pause before absorbing everything around you. This is how you stay grounded in a place that never stops moving. Not by becoming harder, by becoming clearer. In the next part, I'll teach you how to put all of this together so your life feels cohesive, not like a bunch of disconnected coping strategies, but an actual flow that protects your energy without shrinking your life. Whenever you're ready, we'll continue. You know, living in a city quietly reshapes who you think you are. And most people never notice it happening. But if your nervous system is already sensitive, the city doesn't just become where you live, it becomes something that starts negotiating with your identity every single day. So, let's slow this part down and really breathe through it. Because identity work is delicate, and it's powerful, and it's something only you get to decide. The truth is, high stimulation environments push you into roles you never consciously chose. You become the efficient one, the always-on one, the hyper-productive one, or even the person who never has time. And little by little, that becomes the costume you put on just to keep up. But the real you, the version of you you're trying to reconnect with, that one needs room. And the city doesn't give you room unless you claim it on purpose. James Clear talks a lot about identity-based habits, the idea that every action is a vote for the person you're becoming. And that's even more true in chaotic environments. If you don't choose your micro-identity moments, the city will gladly choose them for you. So here's the shift. Instead of seeing yourself as someone who is surviving the city, try seeing yourself as someone who knows how to design their experience inside the city. And because we're human, imperfect, emotional, and beautifully reactive, we add in Dr. Kristen Neff's world, self-compassion. Because rebuilding your identity isn't about becoming a tougher version of yourself. It's about becoming a kinder version of yourself who can handle this environment without losing softness. You begin asking new questions. Who am I when noise is constant? Who am I when everything demands urgency? Who am I when the world moves faster than my emotional bandwidth? And who do I want to be here? This is where identity becomes a choice, not a reaction. Maybe you want to be the person who protects their peace. Maybe the person who takes slower mornings, even if the city screams for speed. Maybe the person who values silence, even if silence isn't the local currency. Or maybe the person who decides, I get to show up differently than the environment I'm in. This is the real rebuild. Not fixing yourself so you fit the city, but shaping an identity that can thrive in spite of it. And when you do that, when you choose identity on purpose, everything else we've talked about, emotional protection, sensory boundaries, your ecosystem, your energy tiers, it all starts clicking together like a puzzle that finally makes sense. So now that we've walked through the noise, the chaos, the psychology, the identity shifts, the boundaries, the rituals, the space, let's put the whole thing together. Because thriving in a city isn't about mastering one piece, it's about how all the pieces talk to each other. Your microspaces give your nervous system a place to land. Your micro-rituals give your days something stable to hold on to. Your micro-regulation keeps your brain from slipping past its threshold. Your emotional boundaries protect the energy you need to function. And your rebuilt identity ties it all together, the version of you that actually fits the life you're living. Once these layers align, something soft but powerful happens. The city stops feeling like something that's happening to you and starts feeling like something you can move within. Not perfectly, not calmly every day, but with agency, with rhythm, with breath. People always think thriving in cities means you finally got your life together. But honestly, it's more like you've built a system that bends without breaking, a system that can survive the unexpected, absorb the interruptions, hold you on the days you're stretched thin, and amplify you on the days you have more to give. It means you stop waiting for the perfect conditions that cities can't give you. You stop blaming yourself for the chaos you didn't create, and you start designing a life that actually respects the place you live in. That's when little pockets of ease start showing up. Moments where the noise feels quieter. Moments where you catch yourself smiling at how much you've grown. Moments where you realize the city didn't beat you, it revealed you. And because I promised you something at the beginning, here it is. A tiny trick that changes everything. Whenever the city feels like too much, the crowds, the noise, the speed, the blinking notifications, choose one object in your environment and give it your full attention for just one breath. One. It could be the rim of a coffee cup, a leaf on a tree, the corner of a building, a light reflecting on a window. Doesn't matter what. Your brain only needs a single anchored point to downshift. It's a neurological interrupt, a pattern breaker, a nervous system reboot disguised as a moment of looking. It's simple, it's tiny, and I swear, it brings you back to yourself faster than anything else I've tried. You've done a lot just by listening to this. You've learned about your environment, your psychology, your emotional load, your identity, your boundaries, your rituals, your nervous system, your growth structure. That's real work. That's meaningful work. And it's work most people never stop to do. So take this with you. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not failing. You are simply learning to live in a place that demands more than most people realize. And now you have a system that bends with you, a rhythm you can trust, a sense of yourself that doesn't disappear in the noise. Okay, take a second. Just breathe with me for a moment, because if you made it all the way here, you didn't just finish a video, You actually completed a full little journey into how your mind survives the city. And honestly, I'm so proud of you. Cities are overwhelming, chaotic, loud, basically teenagers with skyscrapers, and yet here you are, becoming the adult in the room. Honestly, iconic. If something clicked today, even a tiny, "oh wait, that makes sense" moment, tell me in the comments. Really, my dopamine depends on it, which is concerning, but here we are. And remember, every book and expert I mentioned is already linked in the description, so you don't need to write down anything. Those links are affiliate links, so grabbing a book through them genuinely helps the channel grow. Thank you for that, truly. Before you go, I want you to remember something. You're not too sensitive for the city. You're not dramatic. Your system just needed context, and now you have it. That's agency. That's self-trust. That's you becoming someone who moves through chaos with clarity. And tell me, what part of city life overwhelms you the most? I read everything. It helps me know what to create next. So go ahead, drop it in the comments. All right, go drink water, unclench your jaw, close at least one of those 27 tabs. You know the deal. And I'll see you in the next video. Until then, we'll keep growing together, one breath at a time.